And Liana just double checking headphones in. You can hear me? Cool. All right, folks. Thank you for dialing in and signing up. We are just going to go through a quick list of housekeeping here. If you see me looking off screen, I'm just looking at my notes. If you have questions as we go, please use the question and answer tool at the bottom of the screen. That is a great tool because it'll capture everyone's questions, and as we answer them, you'll get to see those as a group. And if we don't get to your question before the end of the call, we will do our best to reach out to you via email, or you can reach out to us. Uh, but we should be able to answer those questions. We have a couple of folks that ask questions beforehand, so we've got those queued up and ready to go. We're gonna just a quick rundown, as it was mentioned in the details that went out. We're gonna start with Scott Helmore, ONI's CTO. He's gonna give us background about the OTA and the marketplace at a high level, and then if he's able to dial in, we're gonna get to hear from the director of prototyping for OUSD-RE, Dr. Tran, some success stories of from a government perspective of how the marketplace is working for his team. And then I'm going to get to show a couple of click for click guidelines on how to use the marketplace to register your organization and submit proposals to these challenges. They're very quick videos, but I have big captions on them, and we'll share the links for those after the webinar ends. I have triple checked, I'm recording this, so I will get a link out, and we can share that as well for anyone who wasn't able to dial in. And then we'll get to those Q&As. We've left plenty of time at the end for Q&A sessions, so we will get to those as well. So with no further ado, I do see we have one more panelist who's able to join us, so let me add him as well. And then we'll get started. Um, okay. Scott Helmore is going to kick us off, and I can provide you a comms check and then let you go, sir.
Sounds good. Can you hear me just fine, Forrest?
All set.
All right, great. So good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're located. Thank you all for joining us today. And so just briefly, what I wanted to talk about was a little bit of where One Nation is as an organization and a little bit about the framework that we use for other transactional authorities. And then how does specifically the Coliseum that you all or some of you have been using to date, how does that fit into the picture of the OTA? So first off, One Nation Innovation is a 501c3. We started about 4 years ago with the intent of bringing together the public sector and the private sector into a public-private partnership. We did not have the desire to become a consortium manager. That's not what we consider ourselves. We consider ourselves an acquisition research institute. We are focused on trying to find innovative ways to solve government funding issues, government contracting issues, and government program management issues. So the majority of what we'll talk about today is the result of that, which is we created a marketplace so that industry and government could come together and communicate with one another. You could think of it similar to SAM.gov. It is not SAM.gov, though. We have two different kinds of challenges that we post. We post an open challenge and a closed challenge. The open challenges that you see that are posted out there, that means multiple government entities are looking for solutions and they're not looking for something specific. So we're asking industry for those type of things and to submit your ideas. Don't try to answer the challenge questions. Instead, try to answer what your industry capability or your academic capabilities are so that they can be reviewed by the multiple government partners. We always list out who the sponsoring entity is. So Dr. Michael Tram, who we hope can speak right after this, will talk a little bit about some of his sponsorship. But if not, I'll do so on behalf of him. And so each time we post a challenge, the challenge has who the sponsor is for it. But it's important to know all government entities, at least in the Department of War, have the ability to leverage the consortium, leverage the other transactional agreement that we have, and leverage to make awards. And so that's important because the majority of awards actually come from folks outside of who it is that's posting the challenge to make awards that are there. The Coliseum really fits into our ecosystem plan because we are intending to allow other nonprofit entities, other 501c3s, to leverage the marketplace for their local ecosystems. Today, you just see One Nation Innovation and everything that's being published on it. Tomorrow, in the very near future, you will start seeing some other 501c3s who you could consider sponsored by us to be publishing some of their local capabilities, again, all focused around government requirements. And everything that we do has funding attached to it. So in order for us to post a challenge, there has to be a promise from the federal government or from state governments that there is funding that's attached to it. We don't publish the amounts to those because, as I mentioned, it changes. And different entities are looking at those. But in order for us to start a challenge, there has to be a government entity sponsoring it. There has to be a promise of funding. And then the award has to be, or the challenge has to be reviewed and approved by Army Contracting Command Rock Island. And so that's kind of the process that takes us today to the framework that we use. Everything we do is generally awarded as an OTA. So we do have the ability, leveraging commercial solutions openings authorities, to make other awards. But today, everything is awarded as an OTA, and almost everything today is awarded as what we call a 4022 OTA, which is a prototype to production OTA. We build the prototype with you. We are not the prime contractor on those. We are the consortium manager. So the contract flows through us to you. We write a business to business contract with you. We receive a government contract that states who we are to make awards to and the dollar of values that are to it. It accepts all types of funding. And basically, the ceilings on those are all based off of each type of funding that comes across. So if the government sends $10 million, that's the ceiling on the contract. They have the ability to add an additional 10, 15, $20 million. So it just keeps growing. It's not like a traditional contract. We get a lot of folks that ask us about, does an OTA have a period of performance? Does an OTA have a ceiling? Can we put options on it? And the answers to all of those are no and yes. So no, they don't have a ceiling. No, they don't have a true period of performance. But yes, on paper, to award it, we'll award it with a ceiling and we'll award it with a period of performance. They're just what we call soft ceilings and soft periods of performance. And so later on in the Q&A, I'm sure some of you will ask questions on that. Some of you have had some one-on-ones with us. Some of you have had awards already. And so that's some of the best practices that we've seen that we can talk about hopefully during the Q&A as well, things that you all in industry can do. And I don't see Dr. Tran on right now. Is he on, Forrest?
I
Doesn't
don't
look
see
like.
him as well, but let
So
me,
that's
yeah,
fine. Then what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about some of the government entities that utilize the OTA. So the OTA was created initially for the 18th Airborne Corps. It was focused on the Army. It was focused on the Joint Innovation Outpost, but it was meant to expand outward into the joint environment. So we started adding Air Force Global Strike Command to it, Defense Innovation Unit to it, and then the Undersecretary of War for Research and Engineering, who I would tell you we do a lot of work for right now. A lot of the challenges that we post are for Dr. Lovitz and Dr. Tran and Dr. McAllister's offices, all within the Undersecretary of War for Research and Engineering. We generally do not publish their names. Dr. Tran's fine with us doing that, Dr. McAllister as well. That's just because what we ask you to do is we ask you to use the platform to ask your questions so that we can respond back with the answers and everybody can see it instead of doing end runs directly. But we do like that you have direct communication, of course, with the government as a part of that process. So what Dr. Tran would have talked to you a little bit about right now is how fast this instrument is, and that's really how we started and how flexible it is. The instrument is really set up to make contract awards from the day we create a line of effort or a challenge to the day that the contract is awarded to you all as 60 days, which is a pretty agile and rapid fashion. It generally takes about a week with the government to build out a requirements document and get approval. And then it takes us about 3 weeks that we publish it. We can go as short as 1 week. We can go plenty longer than that. We've got some that have been out for 90 days or over 120 days. Generally, those are open challenges. Um, but the real reason that they like to use it is the flexibility. Everything that is put out onto the marketplace is a bespoke challenge. It is all created and interacted. It may have its own processes. So when you're looking at the challenges that are there, make sure you read the instructions to see how the challenge is going to be set up. And if I could foot stomp and everybody could hear it, again, on an open challenge, those are open and they're constantly being looked at. So most of us are used to waiting till the very end to submit a proposal. Don't do that. Dr. Tran selects out of those buckets that you see that say RNE all the time. Every week he's in there looking, and when he sees something he wants, he's going to pull it out. It doesn't matter whether that bucket is closed or not. The challenge is still open. He's still looking at things with his team, but he's going to pull something out and make the award. So if you don't have your submissions in, you don't get selected at that point in time. Again, he'll look later, but you really want to be in there as quick as possible so that the way that they're making their selections a lot of times is based off of funding allocations. And they don't have a good way of knowing how much funding there is. So you need to get in there quick and get your submissions in. The other thing that we would talk about is some of the success stories. The biggest success story that we've had to date is what's called the Lucas, which is the low cost UAS platform. Some of you have seen it. It's based on the Shahed drone capability. It's built by a company called SpectraWorks out of Arizona. And they have a bunch of partners on the outside of that platform, which have all come through challenges. If you look on the Lucas Component Challenge, that's where we're looking for right now. Dr. Tran's looking for components to attach to that platform. That is in production at this point in time. So it started on the OTA as a prototype OTA, I think somewhere around $4 to $6 million, and now is moving out into production and building hopefully what will be hundreds of millions of dollars worth of production drones. And that's just one example. There's four more of those that are coming in. We use a lot of something called the AppFit funding, which is R&E's production dollars that they can attach to things to transition it from that prototype environment that R&E is controlling, giving it 2-year production funding and transitioning it over into a service, which gives the service enough time to put money. This is a very unique OTA. It's one of the very few that create that pathway. And so it's been a very big success for R&E. Like I said, they push about $400 million is what we anticipate this year that'll be run through this OTA in conjunction with R&E. Some of the other big customers that are out there that utilize the OTA, Air Force Global Strike Command, as I mentioned, they're using it more and more. You'll be seeing some more sponsorship capabilities and some more challenges being published by them. You've seen Undersecretary of War for Acquisition and Sustainment push out some innovations, and you're seeing a lot start to come out from the Navy for challenges. Again, when you see that abbreviation in the front of the challenge, that's telling you who's doing it. Right now, to date, we've awarded about 35 different contracts with it. In this fiscal year, we're sitting at about 180 to 200 million that's gone through since the beginning of the fiscal year. And we anticipate that moving well into the 500s by the end of the fiscal year. So with that said, what I'd like to do is turn it back to Forrest so we can talk a little bit about how do you get into this platform if you're not already in it, and what's that workflow look like? Go ahead, Forrest.
Thanks, Scott. I see a couple questions and pouring in now. So what we'll do is continue. I'm just saying that to say that people have found the question and answer section. So if you have questions, go down to more in the bottom is how I found it. Click on question and answers, and you'll be able to post questions. Those come to the panelists privately, and then we'll answer those, and they should show up on the answered tab there. So keep asking those, and we'll get them answered for sure. I will share my screen now. Shared. And we will move on to see how do we get into the marketplace to participate. So comms check from my team. You can see the video on screen. Awesome. So this is the marketplace. Anyone is welcome to go and look at the challenges that are there and open. You can go and search if you have a specific search term that interests you or an office. We've tried to make those nice and discoverable. You can see some tags that are there. And even without creating an account, you're going to have access to go and click on those challenges, see the description, overall objective, problem statement, and questions and answers even. Um, then, if you want to go to apply, you're going to hit a lovely screen that tells you you need to register. So registering, it has a couple spots that could be distracting, but it's straightforward once you've seen it done. So I have this video. I'll make sure that it gets distributed. But what you're going to do is click along one of those top four affiliations. Um, I want to foot stomp, and I'm going to do this a few times throughout showing this video. Anything that you select here is not going to narrow what you see or narrow your experience in the app as you get in. So if you selected commercial, but oh, whoops, I'm actually more appropriately a nonprofit or an academic, that's not going to stop you from, nothing will be different in how you experience the app. It's just for us for outreach. So then when we go do our emails and we have our lists of folks who fits into which bucket, that helps us to understand how you're affiliated, and it helps with follow-on stuff. It's not going to filter what you see or anything like that. So all that to say, fill this out as accurately as you can, but don't sweat it if you're confused about where you split on these affiliations. Put in your commercial email, and then you can search to see your organization if it exists on the platform today. Um, Again, if you search it and you're not seeing it, you can continue and create it after the fact, or you can join an existing one after the fact. So don't sweat this part either. But if you type it in, for example, I was joining ONI in this example, it's going to show me an abbreviated version of who's the admin on that organization. And so it's like, oh yeah, I recognize this is Steven at ONI. He's going to approve me. So let me click on that. And it's going to go, when I go make my account, it's going to reach out to that org admin for them to approve it. So you'll put in your first name, last name. Again, the affiliation, don't sweat it. You'll notice there's even a couple more here, right? Just pick the one you feel like fits best. Same with nationality. We just want to make sure that the organization that people are applying from is based in the United States. So you're going to get that two-factor authentication code sent to the email you provide, and you're going to paste it in 6 digits. It's very familiar if you're on any modern day applications. That helps protect your information and anything that you're accessing here. And we know that it's you and you have access to that email you provided. So you punch that number in, you verify, make your password. This is going to be the theme of my quick part of this webinar. Don't sweat it. If you punch in a password that you don't remember, you can reset it just at the login page. It's easy enough. And if you're stumped by resetting your password, you can reach out. We'll get it done for you. But you'll log in, and since you've now registered your account with that, you're going to now be able to give us a little more information about yourself. As you fill this out, you put your clearance level or that kind of thing. It's not going to band what you see. It's just a way to kind of detail your account. And you can put some tags there. So which kind of challenges are you interested in seeing? You're going to see them all, but this helps to narrow down when we say, hey, you may be interested in these later in email blast, that kind of thing. If you spend some time thinking about those tags, that'll be helpful. So you've made it through. You've told us about you, and now we're showing you this page with your organization. It's going to show you your org admin email abbreviated here. So you're like, hey, Will, why aren't you following up with, go approve my account, and then you'll be able to see everything that's going on with your org. But even before they approve it, you're going to have a better insight to what's going on, what the inside of the platform looks like. So if you're having issues with that, if for whatever reason someone made if you're having issues, just reach out. We'll make sure you get affiliated with your organization. But if there is not an organization that you're affiliated with yet on the app, this is what your page might look like. You might have a smiley face there. You're going to click New Organization and fill out that info. The prize you get for being the early bird and the first one is you have to punch in a few more fields, because now you've told us about yourself, the person, and we want to hear about your organization. So tell us a little bit about your organization. The name, a little description. Don't sweat it. Put a sentence or a paragraph that's familiar. Make sure that we want to know your country's based in the United States, and what you're affiliated with. Socioeconomic designation does not disqualify you necessarily from being on the app. It may, at a later date, of course, how evaluators use these. It may be beneficial, but it's not going to screen anything from you. So you'll put in that last piece of contact info. This is very helpful because the evaluators will say, hey, I've selected this organization for award, but I don't even know their point of contact. Sometimes people don't put that on their submissions. So make sure you fill out your contact information with someone who will actually answer, not just like a info at. Fill out your location about your company. Again, another category tag here, and then we'll get your organization started. So that organization is created, and you can see what that looks like. Once you've been associated with it, you're going to be able to see what other members are there, and edit it as needed. Like I said, none of these are necessarily permanent. You can come back and we can get things fixed up for you. Um, we will, you will need the DUNS cage codes to be awarded again later. So you'll notice if you go to edit, you will need to put those in. That's just a piece of the system. We don't require it on entry, but as you go in and edit, we're going to ask you to have those, and save those changes, and they'll be reflected. So as an org admin or someone that's in charge of letting other people into your organization, you would see that list of members there on the members tab. You're also going to see a list of your submissions, my organization submissions there at the bottom with a status of, hey, these are the submissions you've submitted against these challenges and the status of those. So I know I'm motor mouthing here for the interest of time, but that is how you're onboarded with a user and create an organization. And now that you have an organization created, you can go and apply to a challenge. So I'm switching over to the challenges screen. We just looked at the My Organization tab. Now we're going to look at the challenges screen. If you go in, you'll see an active tab showing the active challenges. You can search on that, and it'll show you the amount of days and hours you have till it closes. So we're going to go in. If you click on that notification bar, you'll notice I have been approved as a member of Acme organization, and we're going to go in and apply for a challenge. So I've made an example challenge here called humanoid development. If you go to that topic, you're going to see just like the same interest you saw before you registered, except you also will get some additional context about the rubric, how the evaluators will be evaluating submissions in different categories there. You can download that on the supporting document section. Definitely a huge deal to check out the supporting document section, get those templates and guides downloaded, including the rubric, and just help your capture team as they build out their proposal. And then you're going to click apply in the top right. But since you're now affiliated with an organization, you can drop in your file. So this is very streamlined. You're going to click apply, click upload, and click on the submission that you're interested in. But you're not done yet. Some people they stop here. You uploaded it, but you haven't clicked apply. So you've uploaded to this screen, but it hasn't made it all the way in as a submission. You will know when it is in as a submission because we show a green toaster and you get an email to your inbox. And so you'll have lots of confirmation that you submitted it. If you're unsure, you probably didn't. So you get a green toaster there, challenge submitted. You're going to be upload completed, and then you're navigated to a new screen, successful, and you're going to get an email. So you get a wave of you did it announcements there. And then you'll see that submission show up on your dashboard under My Organization Submission, and you'll see it show up in your My Organization under My Organization Submissions, and then you'll see a status that goes along with it. These statuses have been updated even since this video was made. Largely, you're going to see it as progress from submitted to evaluating to selected or not selected. So it'll hang out in that evaluating section as the government customer reviews those submissions. And when they go and make their selections, they will reach out to the organization that was selected. And we've begun instructing them to as well go and toggle, because in their UI, they're able to go selected or not selected, and give that insight, which would then be visible here. So that's where the status would show up. You're also able to go in if you see people from your organization, or a week or two goes by and you're unsure what you submitted. You could go click that action button and either view the posted challenge and what was it in reference to, or download your own submission just for reference. So you click that and you're going to get that PDF. So In those two videos, we just went over how to create a user, how to create an org, and then how to submit against the challenge. I will distro those, and they're click for click along with what exists on the platform today. And if you have any questions or concerns about duplicate organizations or that kind of thing, we can help you get those sorted out. So that ends my section of the video demonstration. I imagine it looks like we have some questions going there. So I will pause and look at those for a second and ask Liana, do we want to, okay, I see 16 answered ones. So I will pass you the mic here for a second and see if there's any panelist who wants to jump on for some of these or if you want to read a couple of them off. So I'll step away.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Forrest. I will continue to ask your questions, everyone. I think we are answering the ones we can by typing in an answer, and here at the end we'll handle some of those live. Just quickly, what I do want to show everyone is I'm going to share my screen. I do want to briefly highlight where to get additional resources and support should you need any. So again, here is the homepage of the marketplace. And before you log in, you'll land on this page. You can access the FAQs before you're logged in by clicking the Learn More button. And alternatively, once you are logged in, both the FAQ and the Contact Us buttons are available to you on any page that you are on here on the left-hand side navigation. Now, the FAQs, again, they'll answer a lot of the common questions, a lot of the basic overview steps, again, how to create an account or create an organization and otherwise apply to challenges. If you do have specific issues that you're running into, you can contact us directly. I do encourage you to use this contact us form, which will allow your question to be routed appropriately on our side so we can get you the best answer as quickly as possible. We do aim to answer the questions that come through this form within 24 hours or the next business day if you do happen to reach out to us after hours. So stop sharing there. And alternatively, one other thing I did want to highlight for everyone is when you are logged in and on a challenge page, if you scroll to the bottom, there is a question and answer section. So if you ever have a challenge specific question, that is the best place to post it. And we do have our team collect and review those questions on a weekly basis. So once you submit your question, you won't see it immediately, but do check back because we will post those questions and their associated answers and update those challenges. Some of the questions we're able to answer more quickly, but other questions we may need to reach back out to the sponsor and provide an answer. So just keep an eye out there. Right. So with that, we can move on to the Q&A portion, and we'll tackle some of these questions that have not yet been answered. So appreciate the team here diving in and answering the questions that we could simultaneously. So first off, okay. Scott, this one will likely be for you here. So we've got Mike who has asked that every requirement is different, but if we can answer a portion of the challenge and are willing to work with others in partial submissions, is this acceptable? For example, as a network partner, we can answer the networking portion of most challenges.
Yeah, that's correct. So please submit, you can submit a partial response. The government, one of the things that we do that's a little bit differently than some of the other OTAs that are out there, all submissions are going to get sent to the government. We do not do a review on it in the sense that we do not turn around and say you submitted a partial response, so as such it won't go to the government. The government will review each submission. Yes, they have and do make partial awards as well as make teaming awards. We've had both done. Again, you probably want to get as close as possible to it, but yes.
Excellent. And next, we have a question from Dennis. Since the focus is prototype to procurement, I assume there are no options for university early stage research ideas to address problems. Yes or no?
So we currently do not have anyone that's at the 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 arena. I say currently because we are in discussions with ARO, which would be a 6.1 entity, which would be basically the universities doing it. So that would be your basic research. Most everything that we've had come through the OTA is applied research or above, but the OTA is not limited to that.
We have a question about the relationship between our marketplace and others. So, does our marketplace link to others like UAS, Marketplace, ETC, etc., for awarding or funding?
Currently, we do not. However, that is part of a future plan is to connect together some of the marketplaces. So we are looking right now to potentially connect in Vulcan for SOCOM activities as well as trade wins. We were able to make some awards at the end of last year based off of some trade wins marketplaces submissions, but today they're not connected.
Excellent. Okay, we do have.
Good afternoon, team. This is Mike Trance. I was able to dial in as a panelist. Finally, sorry, my apologies. I wasn't able to go through the web browser, but through the phone. So if there's any questions for me specifically, love to be able to share my thoughts. Over.
Yes, sir. Let's just go ahead and turn it to you for a second. And if you can, sir, if you can provide how you're using the OTA today, and if you have any advice to give to industry as to how they submit their responses so that they are most amenable to you, sir.
Sure. I mean, I did hear regarding the initial when you were telling the group about how to leverage the contracts and what you're doing through Lucas and Outfit. It is a really great success story of how we're able to move product fast and get capability out to the warfighter fast. All those Lucas platforms are actually operating and supporting real world missions as we speak now. As far as being able to get to us, the best way is to contact my office and or go through the marketplace and just look at those challenges. I put it there specifically to answer specific questions. Some of them are broad. Granted, I utilize that as sometimes as a catch-all. But these are from companies talking to me directly, answering the items, the requirements that I have specific for what they need, and then leveraging that website to go after a particular prototype. Successes for me, for example, I really need, for example, the Lucas platform. We have a lot of ways to manufacturing, but there's no one thinking about the logistics side of it, right? So how do we transport and field these systems is another big area that I'm looking for. I put a challenge out for UAV systems, delivery systems, but I didn't quite get what I needed. So I'm still open to ideas on how do we employ these systems, in the contested type of environment. So looking for that. As far as the success rate, I really like this platform. I recommend it highly. It's been really great to get directly to industry within the short time frame that Scott had mentioned. I would even say it's quicker than 60 days, and he's being a little conservative, but we've been able to move really fast and get capability out there. What I'm looking for and what our departments are responsible for is what can we field within the warfighter within 2 years. And so I'm looking for relatively mature technologies, TR level 6 and beyond, stuff that we can get out to our T-Rex, for example, that looks at the components, see if it's working. Then we put it into a joint operational type of environment through our joint experimentation series, just look at interoperability. And then we push it over to the AppFit piece, which Scott had mentioned. That's a great way to help bridge the gap between the service and the capability. What's important to me is before you come to me with like any type of solution, I want to make sure that there's a sponsor or there's a user on the other end that actually wants it, right? We're not in the business of just paying for prototypes and just kind of having science fairs, and science projects. So that is not what we're looking for, right? So there are specific things that we need. If you need what those are, just talk to me directly, or to our team directly, or to Scott, and then we would oftentimes post it, and then the funding that we have is in-year execution. So that's why I was saying it's like we have a certain amount of funding set aside to go after certain problems, and then we execute in the year of. So it kind of depending on what the budget allows us, and what Congress allows us, and when they pass the bill is kind of what hampers us for the most of the time. Like, yes, we have a budget that's been passed, but those funding hasn't dropped into my accounts yet. So, but we are still shaping proposals, and that's one of the things that I highly encourage as industry work with my capability directors and to shape proposals and make sure that we have buy-in from the user. That's probably the most important thing. Is I'm looking for mature prototypes, prototypes that will have a home, like a user that actually wants it, and then that's how we get to out faster. So if I can't see what the questions are in the chat because I'm just dialing by the phone. So if you have any questions, Scott, or if you guys can see it, just let me know and I can try to answer questions specifically.
Yes, sir. I'll give one right now that came up. So there's a question about what's the relationship between the One Nation Innovation Marketplace and the RNE T-Rex exercise?
Yeah, so T-Rex is where I have individual technologies kind of come out and see how they work in a relative environment. That's with my Indiana National Guard teammates, run by Lieutenant Colonel Matt Lineberry. So T-Rex is specifically for industry to go out there and prove to the government, yes, this stuff does work, and it works to what you've claimed it to be. So if it's a boat, I expect it to float, right? I expect it to float to whatever your slick sheet says. Same thing for a UAV. If you're saying it's a UAV and it can fly X amount of miles or nautical miles or it can do certain types of effects, then T-Rex is where we iron that out. And then I will, once it's ironed out, I would, and it's has some utility. I utilize One Nation Innovation to either procure it for experimentation. So start up a small use prototype to refine it for prototyping, for AFIT and other consideration for other services in the future. So there is a tight relationship with it. I use T-Rex as my proving ground, and then O&I as my way to get to you. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, sir. We had a follow-up to question. You were talking about the transportation solution. So I think we're talking as well on the Lucas launcher capability.
Yep.
So the question is, are you really looking around a fixed wing only platform, and how does this relate to PBAS?
So as far as, yes, I'm looking for fixed wing. Lucas, obviously, if you've seen online, it's all about delta wing shaped system. That's around 8 feet to 10 feet wide. What I'm looking for is like a mobile unmanned system, specifically that can kind of taxi by itself and go down a runway. One of the launch mechanisms for Lucas is using a vehicle launch, rocket-assisted takeoff, as well as a pneumatic launch. One of the reasons why I'm looking for an unmanned system to launch this system is because I don't want a user operator to be driving 80 miles an hour down a runway with the bombs over their head, for example, right? So that's a no-no. So we would kind of take that risk on an unmanned system. As far as the other platforms, that's with the Army. It's different from what we're trying to do. So I can't really speak to their program. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, sir. And just for everyone else, so we do have some of those requirements out. You'll see them listed from the Army under PMUAS. We do not currently have any from the PEO soldier side. on the PBAS, but there are some requirements that have been posted out for PMUAS. Also, so sir, there's a request. Can you talk a little bit about what you personally like to see in the white papers? What type of things stand out to you? Do you have any best practices or
Yes.
recommendations to shy away from?
Yes, what I'm looking for is the actual technical specs behind what you're trying to demonstrate or what you're trying to sell to the government. But also, I need to know a realistic schedule, right? If you're telling me, hey, I won't even see a prototype beyond 2 years, then I'm honestly not interested in it. That is for another office within DOW to finance and stuff. What I'm looking for is a prototype that's say within 1 year, ready for an operational user. It might not be 100%, and I don't need it to be 100%, but within 1 year, we can start doing a small development on it, and then getting it out to the user to get their feedback and assessment. And then an associated cost with that, right? What I'm looking for specifically is what is the minimum viable product that you're going to get to that operator. That's what I'm interested in. I don't need to know like, oh, future I'm going to add all this crazy autonomy. That's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm honestly a lot of times looking for a truck. All the sensor payloads and suite and autonomy I already have, and working with other industry partners to integrate to. But what I'm looking for the most time is like the truck or the platform. If you have those platforms, then I'm super interested in hearing it. But what I want to know is what is the minimal valuable. Don't expect to get like $50-100 million from us. That's not the point here. The point is, what do you have currently on the shelf that we can either dust off or further improve to get it quickly out to the warfighter, right? And that should be a huge amount of development, because I don't see you being able to spend all that or even analyze or take on that money all of them within 1.5 years, no more than 12 to 18 months. And so strong proposals come out to me is good technical specification, the schedule, and the cost. But even I always say this, I want to go back and say, even the why behind your proposal is like, why is this important to the warfighter? To me, if their why is not straight up right front and center, then I really don't care about your proposal, because it's not for the warfighter. If there's no reason or why behind this, is what I'm looking for. Those are strong proposals for me.
Thank you, sir. So a couple
and
other
it doesn't have to be. Oh, one thing is, it doesn't have to be like 20 pages long, right? It can honestly be between 3 to 5 pages, 10 pages at the most. But what I want to hear from the industry is like, okay, what is the technical value behind this? How do we get fast within the schedule and the cost, and then more importantly, the why. All right.
Yes, sir. So a couple of things. You opened up the floodgates. Of course, everybody wants to know your email address and everything. What I would tell folks is please just drop against the Lucas Components Challenge and some of the other challenges that say R&E there. We walk through those with
Yep.
Dr. Tran almost on a weekly basis. So
Yep, that's right.
yeah, that's the best way to do it, because even if you have a direct discussion with Dr. Tran, you'll still have to submit in as well, so that we can make the award. So you're just helping us all get to that process faster. Follow-up question to you, sir, on some of these things that you look at within your office. Are there specific TRL levels that your office looks at, whether it's you or Dr. McAllister or others?
Yeah, so me specifically, I'm looking at technology rating at level 6, right? Something that can be that is operational in a relative environment, hence the T-Rex at Camp Atterbury within a user's hands. If it's still in the lab and on a breadboard, I'm not interested in it, and I'll be frank with you. If it's ready to be tested, beyond your parking lot, then I'm interested, right? Because that'll be a relatively, operational environment. Dr. McAllister, he's looking at the TR level 6 and beyond, right? The interoperability in an operational environment, where they will come at you from ATO to all the other full suite of things to go after, right? So it's a lot more rigorous. And so that's Dr. McAllister's area, right? Whereas T-Rex is more, it's a little bit lower, barrier entry for industry, but it allows you to learn. We'll actually give you reports and feedback, whereas you're just not bringing yourself and showing what you guys have. That is waste of your time, waste of your money to go out to those events. All services will love for you to have your technology at events. Oh yeah, please come to this event. Please come to that. No, you have to ask yourself, what is the return on investment in this, and where does it lead to? Right? My mentor always says, follow the money. Right? Follow the money. Where is this money? How are they going to fund this? Is there an actual program office that will take this at the end of the day? If you're asking users, yes, users want stuff all the time, but you really need an acquisition office to say like, yes, we're behind this. Sorry, that's long-winded.
That was perfect, sir. So how about SBIR phase threes? Do you get involved in those at all?
I used to take SBR 3s and then use that as a sole source for BAAs in the past, but I turned away from them because the process is so long. I don't encourage small business. I hate to say this. I don't encourage small businesses to go after SBIRs just because the amount of money, sometimes 100K, 200K, it's not even worth the trouble that you have to put forward to do that. One of the best ways is go VFR direct from the top, going into O&I and into an office like mine. Then, because within the Department of War, all the 6.3, 6.4 prototypes fall under me. So that's, if you want funding, you go straight to the source. Like I said, follow the money. That's all.
I also had a question on the Lucas platform itself. So I mentioned earlier about the platform is the SpectraWorks platform today. Folks are asking, are you interested in additional platforms for your drone capabilities in the future?
Yeah, so what I'm going after, so that Lucas platform is 700 nautical miles. That's hence the L700. What I'm looking for next is an L1000. So I need a system that will go 1,000 nautical miles to fly a particular flight profile and to be at a certain cost. And right now there's a low-cost containerized munition challenge that's out there. That's going after the 500 nautical mile range. But what I'm looking for next is 1,000 nautical miles. So, and that will be your challenge. This will be a ground launch system to go 1,000 nautical miles and to fly a certain particular profile. This particular speed that I'm looking for is about 0.6, 0.7 Mach. So you're traveling really fast, really far, and really low. So that takes a toll on your engine and fuel consumption. So that's something you really have to think about.
Thank you, sir. And so on the Lucas platform, as it looks today or even in the future, are you looking at any AI autonomy capabilities? Could you talk a little bit about what you might be looking for on the LLM side?
Yeah, so I am looking at the AI autonomy piece. Matter of fact, I don't particularly care regarding the platform autonomy. I'm never going to compete with the platform autonomy and with industry in that because I can't move fast enough. But what I am looking for is the orchestration piece, the layer, maybe 2 or 3 layers above that platform autonomy. Is if you think about it, it's like I'm trying to make Uber in the sky. And the way that I'm doing that is each driver has their own way of thinking, their own platform, their own autonomy. What I want to be is the brains to be able to tell, hey, you're at this location and you need to go to X location. And I need to figure out, okay, what assets do I have near you to task that particular asset and then to take you to that location that you want to go to. And that route is automatically figured out, right? And then you as the operator or the commander in this case says, yes, I want for that system to go that particular route. And as that system is performing a certain mission, there's certain things that might happen where you're like, oh, I have traffic or I have an accident here. I need to reroute. The system figures that out on its own. So the idea then is now not having 100 users operating 100 different aircrafts, but having one user being the orchestrator to orchestrate the entire um, the entire set of uncrewed systems to execute a mission. And so that is the autonomy level that I'm looking for, and that orchestration piece, and not the platform autonomy, because there's a lot of folks out there. And if you're going to be dealing in that space, then I don't want you to be a platform provider, right? I want that particular company or companies to be agnostic to platform. So if you're currently making a platform and trying to go after an orchestration, I'll be honest, I'm not interested, because if I look at this as like a symphony, and I have different musicians playing different instruments in my symphony, and if I make a symphony, or if my music writer is like, say, a pianist, then a lot of my notes and a lot of my part of the music is going to have a lot of piano riffs in there, which I don't want, right? So plenty of companies out there, they say they can vertically integrate everything. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in an agnostic company that would be willing to work with the government and provide that open architecture to take in any platform and help with the decision making and orchestration piece. So, and that is our goal for by January of 2028. We need to be able to demonstrate multi-domain collaborative autonomy from the stratosphere all the way down to the seabed floor. So you expect lots of O&I challenges to come out for that multi-domain collaborative autonomy in the near future here.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to answer a couple of questions that are just general questions here real quick. So if there's a question out about how you can elaborate on how to demonstrate orchestration, basically, are we interested in contested logistics things that come out from Indo-PACOM only, or other areas? As I kind of mentioned before, when we put out an open challenge, it's not really specified to just what's in there. That's the point of the open challenge. We use a specific environment to give you an example, but please submit solutions that you believe are good for the department within its whole. We rarely pick something only because it's good for one specific region going across. That's just generally what it is, but we have to put it out with some focus areas. There's a question, sir, to you of, do you integrate capabilities on shipboard platforms?
Shipboard platforms, we do and we don't. And the only say that we don't is because shipboard things, integrate anything on a ship, takes way too long. We were lucky to be able to get Lucas on the ship. That was because the commanders are willing to accept a whole lot of risk. So it really depends. We do shipboard type of prototyping, but that tends to be a very long road. Same thing with space, because I'm waiting on space flights, and that is not what is immediate and urgent, emergent that I'm looking for. So the answer is yes, but it also answers depends on what that is.
Different question, sir. Do you EW payloads for the Lucas? Are you interested in those as well?
Absolutely. There's a whole subset of EW stuff that I'm interested in. So yes, not only for Lucas, but also our long endurance platforms. Definitely interested in that.
So today, if you hadn't, this is a comment out to the folks on the webinar right now. If you had an EW capability, you would be posting that today on the Flex components. Or the other thing to make sure that you're looking at is the elevated sensor requirement that's posted out there as well. Those are two areas that you might want to look at to post things, so that you're not focused so much on just specific areas for you. So, sir, another question to you. Can you follow up a little bit about, or I'm happy to start the answer on this actually, and then you can add to it. What is the role on the Flex contract to support integration? So we use the Flex contract as an integrator for Lucas. Those go through a company called Nini. That's who the contract holder is. So when we get ready to make the award, we will identify for you whether that award is coming through the marketplace directly from O&I, or whether it might be coming from the marketplace via the Flex contract that Dr. Tran has as assets. There are several other contracts that Dr. Tran has and other entities have that they use things off of. We don't really publish those because we just ask you to use the marketplace, and then how contracting and the government decide to make the award, we'll let you know. I don't know, sir, if you wanted to add anything to my comment on that.
No, I think you did great. You covered everything.
Great. So could you elaborate a little bit more on what an MVP looks like to you, specifically when you were talking a little bit on the orchestration side?
Yeah. So, like as far as orchestration for me, one of the most important things for multi-domain collaborative autonomy is how do the platforms maintain comms, right? Without the comms and being able to reorganize the platforms by themselves, and to maintain your comms, then you have nothing, right? So that for MVP, for me, an MVP would be that how do you use the autonomy to orchestrate all the different platforms from stratosphere, air, surface, as mean boats, and subsurface systems to maintain that resilient comms. That would be an MVP for me, right? Then from there, I would look for, okay, how do these systems orchestrate like defensive tactics or offensive tactics and maneuvers? That would be another spiral. And then the third spiral would be like, how do these systems execute that defensive offensive tactics while maintaining comms in a comms denied environment, right? Where there's jammers and stuff that's out there, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for, right? What is the minimal viable would take for your company to go out there and demonstrate, hey, I have a whole bunch of these different assets, maybe just one, and then how do these systems work together to maintain comms? That would be like a simple task for me.
Okay, sir, I'm going to answer a couple of just general questions again, and then I'll get back to a specific one, and I know we're almost out of time. But some folks are asking about what kind of feedback do they get. In general, we do not provide you with feedback at this time because the challenges are generally open, not just to the folks that have made the awards, but others that are making it. So it would be difficult for us to give you specific feedback on what it is. And I mention that just because there's quite a few challenges that have had 4 or 5 different government entities that have made an award off of it while it went out for one entity in specific. The JIFRA is a great example. Joint Rapid Fielding Activity has had multiple awards off of it to multiple different entities. Second thing is what happens after you submit? How do you get notified of anything? We'll email you the notification saying that you've been identified for an award, and then we will walk through with you if you need to provide a greater in-depth ROM, an updated proposal. At that point in time, it does become a two-way conversation between us. So you do have the ability to update some of your proposal information and turn it into a true proposal at that point in time. Do you interact with contracting? In general, no. The only time you will interact with Army Contracting Command is for you to have a production OTA that will transition from the ONI exchange into a production OTA directly with your company. At that point in time, One Nation just serves as an advisor to you and to the government, but you will not be receiving those contracts from us. And with that said, I know we've got just one more minute, so I'm going to turn it back to you, sir, just if you have any closing comments, and then I'll make the rest of the closing comments from a One Nation perspective.
Nothing further. I just really appreciate the opportunity, and I apologize for not being able to dial in earlier, provide a brief overview of what we're doing, and but hopefully this has been helpful. I know Scott's trying to protect my inbox and my emails from people, inundating it. But please just reach out to Scott and ONI. Just if you have a proposal, submit it. I do read them, and then we do award off of them, or I will contact you directly from that and say, hey, I want to learn more about this. How can we take it to the next stage? But anyways, that's all I have here. I really appreciate you guys and everybody's time. Hopefully this has been useful. Over.
Thank you very much, sir. We're so glad you could join us, even if it was just by phone. So we thank you for the time today. We know how important that time is. And from One Nation's perspective, I'd like to thank everybody for attending this. Yes, this will go out and be published so that those of you who weren't able to see the entire thing, it's recorded and you will have that opportunity. The questions that we didn't get to, we're taking notes on what those are now, and we'll send those out as well so that you can get your answers. Please feel free to reach out to us. This is just the beginning of some of these webinars so that we can communicate a little bit better with you all. And again, thank you for the time and have a wonderful week.